one's the best? Which one's the best? Which one's the best? Which one's the best? Which one's the best? What's the second best? There is no second best.
This is Discover Crypto. My name is TJ, and every day on this channel, we show you how to make money with Bitcoin and crypto assets. It's an incredible day. Everything's pumping. We just tapped 100K. We've got Ethereum making a crazy run. $2,000 Ethereum right around the corner. All altcoins are surging. Disco balls going crazy. And we are joined with the return of the great Joshua Jake. Welcome back, Josh.
We're back.
We're going live early today to cover the press conference. Donald Trump announced a major trade deal coming out today with a huge country respected for many, many years. Markets went crazy last night on the announcement of the announcement. Trump doing in true KOL fashion, learning. He's obviously been talking with Justin Sun, learning the art of the announcement of the announcement. And I believe are they live, going live right now?
Getting close.
Yeah, getting close. The White House is now just on screen here, so this should be going live here any minute. But yeah, there's been a lot of teasers all night long. Can't stream while you're on 40 hours with the plane rides, but I can look at the Twitter feeds and everything. So we're expecting that UK trade deal to come out today. And of course, we've seen that correspond to the markets here early morning with all the memes rolling out. I mean, man, oh man, would it be... It'd suck to be on the bear side of this, telling people not to buy at 75K.
That's what I'm wondering where they're at. Like,
where's the recession? Where's the recession? I'm waiting for it.
Actually, they were talking about that in the chat. Remember when TJ, Josh, and DZ shouting back when it dipped to 72K, buy, 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 and all the bears were saying we're going to 50K? I absolutely remember that. I said it as emphatically as I could possibly say it. I put my money where my mouth is, sold my car, sold a house. All in. And you know, we still love you, Steady Bug. We still love the bears out there. They're always welcome. But
oh man,
I don't think we're going to 50K.
Yeah, it's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. You know, I don't. The volatility has been kind of like a trading dream for me too. You know, we're hitting that 75 spot. Added a lot of tether. Now we wake up to snapshots like this. Just to see a field of green across. I mean, Bitcoin's up 2.4% right now, but the altcoins, Ethereum coming back near $2,000, ADA coming up 7% today, Solana trying to break above that 155 spot, Doge, Link, a lot of dark green, and then Pepe with the deep dark green leading the charge for the meme coins. Shout out
Wispy out here. He sold his wife to buy more Bitcoin. Shout out to Wispy in the chat, doing the things that most people aren't willing to do in a time of, you know, downside in these markets. But it was actually really cool. I got to meet with a lot of the IOHK Foundation in Abu Dhabi, or not Abu Dhabi, but Dubai, as well as the Midnight team. So really cool to see them here. Really good panelists, I think, throughout the whole entire trip. It was all about tokenization, privacy, and a hint of AI on the backside of things happening out there. So very interesting to watch that. And on top of that, then you had like Arizona ended up going through with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Their governor vetoed whatever the first initial bill was, but then they decided to come out and actually pass legislation on converting, I believe it was like something into the real estate market. I still got to look into that.
No, it was mostly not selling what they've already got.
Right.
So they are starting a strategic Bitcoin or crypto reserve, digital asset reserve, but it's the first one was more about going out and making new purchases. The second one was more about holding on to what they already have, not liquidating it. And I believe there's also a third one that's going to be hitting the governor's desk as well. So
it's well, I think the first one will be like, because there was a lot of misinformation too on the Florida one that obviously had a huge part in with Samuel Arms down with the Florida House Committee, where I saw Coinbeer and a few other channels be like, oh, this is bad. It's permanently done. The bill is dead in Florida. It's not at all. Essentially, what is happening is that these bills are going to be re-amended. Different legislative approaches are going to be taken into whether it's advice or language that wants to be added in from a lot of the representatives and constituents. And as you saw in New Hampshire with the 5%, it went completely through. So New Hampshire is still leading that race, even though it's people forget New Hampshire might be a state. You know, it was a first vocal point for the established reserve. So, and if you look at it, Bitcoin is at 93K when that first one was announced. So I think you're just start seeing that domino effect take place. And both of those bills, by the way, guys, are being heavily talked about in the Middle East. And that is what you should be paying attention to. Like, you know, who cares on the state level? Just realize the nation state FOMO that is going to cause. So Taiwan had congressmen coming out saying, hey, we need to allocate 5% of national reserves into Bitcoin. It's just causing this like domino fear of missing out kind of attitude that is sending shockwaves globally, because I was even finding out about these bills for myself, for people here, like in the United States. It was like we're at a conference speaking to people in Pakistan or Uzbekistan that were like, yeah, we want to copy and follow you guys. It's really amazing to see the United States kind of leading that way. So very exciting, a very exciting time in these markets.
What you expect too. I mean, it's America still is the lead economic hub on the planet, and to see us ready and our states are trying to beat the feds to rolling out these strategic reserves, very, very cool. And really, the Arizona bill, there are 4 bills in the strategic Bitcoin reserve for Arizona. SB 1025 was the one that was vetoed. HB 279 was the one that was signed into law. And this is exactly what you're talking about. It's the seized Bitcoin that they're just not going to offload, like how we saw Germany do at $50,000 per Bitcoin. And what was it, like 50,000 Bitcoin or something like that they let go of? Germany nuked them.
Yeah, it was about, that sounds about right. 50,000. Yeah.
It was just like, that would have been billions of dollars, if they hadn't have done that. So
Germany is just, man, one of those countries that hasn't been able to catch a break since World War II. I mean, it just...
It's true. It's true.
It's not looking so
Down
hot for
only.
Germany out there. Just like they just make mistake after mistake after mistake.
Lord.
Yeah, it's that's
Lord.
all I got on Germany, dude. I was just in Germany for 8 hours. I was stuck in Frankfurt.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, which I like Frankfurt's airport, so Germany's a good place. But man, oh man, their politicians need to catch up with modern times, because it is getting harsh out there, especially with the crypto laws. I think it's like 55% tax out there. They want people to leave Germany, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well, real quick before the press conference starts, they usually run a little bit behind. It was scheduled to start at 10 a.m., which is why we went live here today a little bit early. We do have the one and only Kelly Kellum in the wings, who has been holding it down for us this week. Let's do Kelly. How's it going? Do you have anything interesting on the charts that you're seeing today? Are 100K likely could be a resistance? Are you expecting a pullback during the announcement? Are you expecting more price action later today? What do you have on your radar right now?
Well, first things first, welcome back, Josh. I know I've taken those flights back and forth on the other side of the world when I used to live in Thailand, and a 30-hour flight is nothing to balk at. It feels like 42 weeks when you're in the plane, so I'm sure your cheeks are sore. Welcome back. The market, hey, this morning I was lucky enough to get this popping right on a screenshot. I don't know if you can see my screen share. I hit that 100K mark on the dot. Look at this, and this is on the CME futures. And I just want to point out some interesting zones here. Now, this is futures. These obviously tend to lead a little bit what we're going to expect in the market. We saw the traditional pricing that you see on exchanges hit basically 99.9K. But I'm watching these zones right in here. And if you want to zoom out, I actually readjusted this. This is the levels I'm watching. If we do get a pullback, it's not the end of the world. In fact, we should expect it so we can be prepared. I'm looking at 98.3 and a 96.5. Both of these would ultimately be, higher lows on the smaller term time frame. But we can't forget that we still have that CME futures gap down here that goes all the way down to about 91.8. Let's call it $92,000. So even this, we're going to see people posting everywhere. Bitcoin's crashing. If this were to come down to this would still be an incredibly beautiful higher low if that were to take place. And that would essentially be the price action coming down into this area right here, which is a still incredibly higher low. Now, as we're looking at this, if we zoom out just a little bit more, let's actually go out to the daily. I just want to point out, we're looking for this mega pump gateway, baby. And I've been talking about this a little bit on my Twitter and also over on BitLab Academy. This $110,000 mark, I do think that once we clear this is going to usher in a great amount of new retail and also excited money that's been on the sidelines. Although every one of you here in the Disco fam, Blockchain Basement fam, the BitLab Academy fam, we've been talking about the need to look at the data and stack in before all this FOMO comes in. The goal is to be in before FOMO. So hopefully many of you are stacked, especially with a lot of the data we've been sharing here. But from here to here, I don't think this is going to go exactly straight up. But ultimately, I'm looking at a target up in this region. This is going to be that gateway. But what's most exciting is looking at the other charts, because how many of you, throw one in chat if you've been stacking like a degen outside of Bitcoin as well? I know Bitcoin's the main dog on the street, But the other chart here is showing, and I've been talking about this potential inverse head and shoulders. And not only did we break out this line I drew back here, this yellow line that we're seeing, I drew this, and this is exactly what's played out. So currently we have a beautiful inverse head and shoulders on the others chart. Of course, this is an index of all those coins on the, if you're looking at coin market cap, every coin outside of the top 10. So from number 11 and down beyond, this is showing if we do get this set up to fulfill, that this would represent a massive amount of upside for the alts. But of course, we're watching the Bitcoin dominance because this has just been ticking up, trickling up, ticking up, pushing up, giving us stress. But ultimately, if we do start to see this breakdown, we could see some incredible gains in the charts because we're seeing them all over the board. Aerodrome starting to look nice. BitTensor Tau, which we've been talking about here on this channel and on BitLab Academy. I made a call for buys down here at about 220, 230, and this has been pushing up. We see Constellation DAG looking like it's set up for new highs. Solana looking like it's set up for new highs all across the board. Even Link, look, beautiful inverse head and shoulders all over the board. And then wouldn't you guess it? Finally, we see Ethereum making some moves to the upside. So that's what I'm seeing right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a little bit of a pullback if the press conference is a nothing burger. And by nothing burger, I mean the news is already realized in terms of the UK trade deal. If it's not something else, I do think we'll see a little bit of a pullback, but that's opportunity.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Kelly. We might come back to you a little bit later, but we're going to get ready for this press conference. As always, guys, you can catch Kelly live in BitLab Academy a little bit later today. So make sure you're subscribed and following him both on X and on YouTube. So thanks, Kelly. And on that note, it is something I want to make sure you guys realize. If you're not following the Discover Crypto X account, actually, I can show that right. Give me just a second. This is not the main, but boom, this X account. Oh, no, I lost myself. I got to switch this back. Discover Crypto right here on X. We're putting stuff up all the time, and we are officially going to be going live with the Discord next week. So if you guys aren't in that Discord yet, that's where you can get a lot of this breaking information. So as he was alluding to, Trump came out and said he's going to be making a major announcement today at 10 a.m. New York Times or New York Post, some New York media came out and kind of front ran it and said, the rumor is it's going to be a major deal announced with the United Kingdom. So that's what a lot of people are anticipating today. Some people that don't know that might be thinking India, might be thinking Taiwan or something else. I don't think, it's definitely not China for people thinking it might be China. But if you want that most cutting edge information, make sure to follow us on X and join the Discover Discord. It's Discover Investments Group. We've got a lot of really big plans for that. There's going to be some free trading content, but then there's also going to be some paid stuff where we're doing portfolio reviews, going live in there every single day with Q&A type stuff from different.
Those are what I love. That's what I love. The one-on-one Discord conversations, know, because we do the live stream. We cover as much as possible to stay ahead of the buck. But then we have people that join that where we can slow it down and really look at each situation individually. And, I talk about like pairings, ETH to Bitcoin charts, SOL to Bitcoin charts all the time. Kind of specific crypto knowledge that if you want to slow it down and get that one-on-one and spend time with me, because I'm in there, I've been really focusing on the Discord community. That's going to be, really validating for me to be able to spend one-on-one with people that are in each different situation, because everyone's portfolio, their goals, what they're doing crypto for is different. So that's where I'm finding the value in that Discord. Just had to add that on there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get live Q&A from all of us, not just me, not just Josh, but DZ, Kelly, Drew, and it'll basically be a massive Discord where you can, again, like he said, get Q&A, ask questions. Also, DeFi, crypto, and airdrops are in there. So we've got a whole DeFi mastermind if you guys are wanting to learn how to earn yield on things like Arrow, things like Plume. Everybody's excited about their Arrow payouts coming in. So if you want to start learning about concentrated liquidity pools, some of the more sophisticated things that we do, that's going to be the place to do it. I will go ahead and say right now, it's not for somebody like if you're working with a $1,000 portfolio, we love you. We put out tons of free content for you. Consume as much of that as you can and try to make those gains. This is for people. Most of what's going to be going on in there is going to be for people with a little bit more capital, and that's where you really get your return on that. Because if you're looking to put 5, 10,000, 100,000, couple 100,000 into it, you're going to want to have some more sophisticated information, and it will be well worth it to get. It's going to be, again, the best Discord out there. So very excited to launch it. We're kind of waiting for DZ to come back because I don't want to launch it without him, because obviously he does a lot with our members as it is on Friday. So if you guys are in those Friday streams, it'll be kind of like that, but times 5. So it's going to be a lot more of it. We're really excited to do it. And what about an 80K portfolio? If you've got an 80K portfolio, you're going to want to be in there. We're going to help you turn that into a much bigger portfolio. So
yeah, it's just not for, like, you know, someone that is, you know, just getting their feet wet. We put out plenty of information just, you know, on our free live streams. This is where we can slow it down and look at stuff specifically like pairing charts. You know, and Kelly's buddy, Kelly was just on Kevin Svensson about 3 weeks ago. He put out that ETH was going to stop dying, and that, you know, I got my ETH jersey ready. Here it is. Here's the zoom in of it. Now, this is a lot of pain and a lot of ground to make up on ETH.
That's ETH BTC, or
this is ETH to BTC.
That is an ugly chart.
This is ugly chart, and it's fallen back to really old school historical levels of support on ETH to Bitcoin pairing. You know, this is kind of the just generalized level that honestly I can be looking out for, but these are important charts to understand when ETH does start moving against Bitcoin, when Bitcoin's at like 120, 130. You know, I'm essentially looking for, you know, this type of movement where ETH can run against Bitcoin by about 200%, 100 to 200%. And that's when Bitcoin's worth $120,000, $130,000, maybe even on up to TJ's thoughts up to $200,000, $250,000 realm. So ETH can absolutely make some money from where it sits right now. So these are the types of things in the ETH to Bitcoin pairing that we're paying attention to. It does look like the pain is slowing down on Ethereum. And as you can see, the altcoins are really starting to wake up from what the others chart that Kelly just showed. So, you know, I'm feeling good about it. And really, where we're at. What's that?
No, that's what I was just going to say. Like that, almost anything against BTC is down bad and has a chart that looks like that. So Ethereum gets the most attention on it, but there's very few things that have outperformed Bitcoin. I mean, that's why Bitcoin dominance keeps ticking up. And we've been saying this for a while, that it's going to take a more easing environment for altcoins to start to overperform. I do really like this Colin. You know, we've been following this Colin Talks Crypto M2 money supply chart for a long time. And it's tracking along with it very, very, very well. And you could see we're actually due for a little bit of a pullback. So that could be that 92K. But I mean, if you believe this, you know, we're going way a lot higher.
And you don't need to like just have like hope about it. I mean, the pi cycle top indicator has plenty of room between the two moving averages right now. Like pi cycle top indicator is what I'm, you know, adding to my top signal group. And, you know, in that Discord, we're going to be focusing on this every single day. We're going to wake up and be like, how close is this to crossing? But pi cycle top indicator as it sits right now, there is honestly plenty of room between the 111-day moving average and the 350-day moving average times 2. The interesting thing about this indicator is that it calls the exact buying power at tops. It called the buying power top for Bitcoin April 2021, not the secondary fiat valued top of Bitcoin at around 69K. It calls when you get the most houses per Bitcoin, or when you get the most buying power out of your Bitcoin. So as it sits right now, honestly, if you compare this band and how much room we have between these two, backed up and looked at cycles past, it is very, very similar to the end of 2020. You know, and that plays in a confluence with the weekly green dots that we had seen. I'm still under the, you know, general trading assumption that these green dots are going to play out pretty similarly to what we've seen in history's past. Right here, you can see we've had 3 green dots since 2023. Each one of them, this one ended up with a 190% pump. The secondary one ended up with a 90% pump. And, you know, if we do kind of replicate that 90% pump from the time this green dot had printed a few weeks back, then we end up landing at about $170,000 a unit. But honestly, if we see more strategic reserve, that's the interesting thing about this, is we have our charts and just general price movement moving along where we'd expect it to. But then we have the chaos factor of trade peace talked about. We have chaos about, you know, another Ukraine deal It looks like Ukraine has actually agreed to that minerals deal as well. So
Absolutely.
we've cooked all of this fear into the markets. And the moment that we see peace on the trade or military side be negotiated and come to fruition, that's where the charts kind of mean nothing. And that's where you're talking about the 8-year cycle, TJ, and the gold comparison ETFs comes into play. But really, it's all about that. All about that pie.
We've got this super chat here from Jay Harris while we're waiting for Trump to speak, and I saw some people in the chat saying it looks like that got delayed till 10:30. So we went live early just to come hang out with you guys. So we could have gone live at 10:30 when we normally do. But can we check 000 token? That's a very low market cap token. Not something I'm all that interested in when I just looked at it real briefly. But VVV, I'm still holding that. That's Venice AI. It's just staked and churning away. It obviously got a lot of attention when it very first launched and has been, I believe it launched on
it was on
Coinbase. No, I couldn't remember the freaking exchange. Launched on Coinbase almost immediately with a huge pump. I'll pull that up here shortly. There you go. Huge pump, huge pullback, bounce, and then it's been kind of slowly building back up. I like it. I'm a big believer. This is Eric Voorhees, somebody that I have a lot of respect for. I like the product, the Venice AI product. I use it. There's very few crypto coins these days that have real projects tied to it. So I've been staking it ever since. I do believe in AI agents. I do believe AI agents are going to be the future. I just think oftentimes things that I get excited about in crypto, I'm a little too early. So AI agents, I do think are going to be relevant. I do think it's big technology. I do think we're going to see them proliferate on the internet and through crypto. I do think they're going to love blockchain, but it will probably take a few years for us to really start to realize where it's going to go. So VVV is something I'm holding on to for an extended period of time. Like I said, it's staked, it's earning. It's one of those where I've got a position in it. I could have sold it for a lot more. I didn't. I'm going to ride it, and I'm going to wait until there you go. DeFi crypto airdrops right there. I was in a liquidity pool on VVV, just staked now. So yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't do a concentrated liquidity, just staked it. It earns. I think we're going to see a lot of those things come back. We're already seeing like AI16Z. What's the other one? Virtuals, doing very well the last couple of weeks. I do think that altcoin narrative will be hot when altcoins are hot, and we're gonna see it do well. So I'm holding it until at least October. So.
Yeah, the Solana ecosystem, I'm not so keen on like the memes. I know that some of them will come back pretty strong, but the one thing that I'm really looking out for within Solana is the AI ecosystem being built out within it. Like that has felt much stronger than there's another good side of Solana, which is the DeFi Camino. A lot of people like Camino, and I can see that coming back pretty nicely. But it is Bitcoin show. It really is Bitcoin show right now. So I'm keeping that in mind. I'm trying to stay base, and you had this. I don't know if this audio is going to work on my end, but we had your post about Besant talking about Bitcoin becoming a store of value. Besant, he's really interesting, right? He's coming from the position like he was able to go against the UK dollar in the 80s, and now he's in control of the US Treasury. This is a very interesting time where it's like our last Treasury Secretary was Janet Yellen. It was very anti-crypto, and we were still able to perform very, very well in the long term. Now we have a guy that's actually bullish on Bitcoin and the store value of it. It's kind of scaring me, and it's scaring a lot of people that were kind of bearish on it. Like Standard Chartered Bank came out, an analyst apologized about $120,000 Bitcoin price prediction. Says the price target may be too low. Josh, what say you? What is your price targets the same? What are you looking for Bitcoin out of this cycle here? I want to get your thoughts on it. After going to Dubai, you talked about the little FOMO. There might be stuff going on. Is your opinion remain the same?
Yeah, so I got a few thoughts. I was looking at the White House here, trying to make sure they didn't cancel the event because CNBC their website crashed. But we're back up. We're still waiting, guys. Very normal for the Trump administration to be late to these venues. We've done these streams a million times, and usually there's a pretty big delay here. So we'll see. I still haven't seen. There's a lot of people in the chats through CNBC, et cetera, saying announcement canceled. But when I'm on X and everything's still up and running, still going to go. So I still believe that he'll be out here any minute here. But in terms of the price prediction here this cycle, It really just depends on a few things. I mean, it depends on sovereign wealth funds. It depends on strategic Bitcoin reserves. It depends on deregulation. It depends on just a mass amount of legislation right now that is trying to be pushed through the United States Congress. And this is going to go from the Stablecoins Act all the way to Article 12 or Article 10, all the way to just the removing of bit license and a lot of other barriers that remove access to crypto in the United States. So everything you guys are talking about, peace, trade deals, right? These are all things I am completely aligned with. It just is a time crunch at this point. So we don't know if it's going to be 3 weeks in terms of relations between the United States and China, or if it's going to be 2 years between the United States and China. Now, I am somebody that is very optimistic. Scott Bessent is one of the best. And, you know, it just goes to show. We've seen 2 days ago on CNN, one of the people I love on CNN is Scott Jennings. Massive debate that was going viral on X was a lot of individuals saying that the UK and the United States were never going to meet relations, and that the UK was going to start working with China and other countries go against the United States in our trade deal.
Right.
Fast forward 48 hours. We're looking at a US UK trade deal.
You saw the Canada guy too, right? Carney.
Carney will
Right.
never bow down. Will never knee to the United States president. Shows up. Whatever you need, sir.
Right.
Whatever you need, sire. And so it's just, you know, right now we're living in a market that feeds off fear mongering and fears off this needed approach to scare an audience to get the best amount of advertisement revenue. If you guys know who is the loudest people and the most vocal people in Congress, they're generally the people that are pushing the most fear. Generally, the people that say World War III is right around the corner. Oh my God, India and Pakistan. You know, I had people coming up to me in Dubai talking about, Josh, what's your thoughts on India and Pakistan? This is going to be World War III. Like, India and Pakistan have been going at it forever. Like, they literally have, go look up their weird tradition of their military border where they like march against each other at their gates. This is a country that, this is why we've always thought BRICS was never going to survive. We've talked about this with the Belt and Road Initiative. There's a lot of play into this into Ukraine, a lot of play into this into Pakistan. And so, you know, again, fear mongering is going to be at a max right now. And it just proven to show when we were at 75K Bitcoin and everybody was telling you to sell. We bought Aerodrome at 30 cents. Kelly bought, you know, Tau at the bottom. You were calling Chainlink spot. There's so many bottoming like indicators that we followed. Now is like, okay, we've dollar cost average. We've made our way into what I believe is the best downside in the market. And whether or not we dip back to 91K, etc., I think we have great positions in our portfolios. And the upside to this market, you're talking 120K minimum. Like, that is the minimum I think we see this year. The maximum is an unlimited ceiling. Because if Saudi Arabia comes out with their $950 billion sovereign wealth fund, which we are watching their officials speak in Bitcoin Miami, just to decide to allocate, you know, 5, 10, 15, $20 billion. Again, you're talking this national state FOMO that is coming into Bitcoin's market. This isn't a conversation of when or an if. It's just it's a conversation of when. And so, you know, I don't think we're going to see 250K this year. I would love to see that. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be floored. But at the same time, we're watching the world's largest market makers between the United States, China, Russia, Japan, etc., come to the table and try to get the best possible entry points. And so I think this means two things. I think one, it means Bitcoin is going to break past $100,000 and never see below it again. And two, at some point. But two, I think it means Bitcoin dominance is going to remain a little bit higher for longer.
Yeah.
And so for the people that are out there that like want their altcoins, what I'd really pay attention to, like Ethereum's not at $2,000 yet, and Bitcoin's now hitting 100K again. And I'm very optimistic on altcoins, very optimistic on an alt season, so to speak. It just understand that this market is about accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible. These nation states and countries aren't talking about accumulating as much Ethereum or as much XRP or as much Cardano or as much Aerodrome or as much some other altcoin. It's accumulate as much of Bitcoin. And that's going to flow into all of your altcoins, obviously, because they're paired. Liquidity is going to go up. But just take that into accountability when we do hit these right price points. So that way, when we do hit, and this is going to, whatever the price predictions are, whether it's 140K, 180K, 220K, which man, oh man, would be very, very exciting. Just don't be the person waiting this cycle and this time around again that says, oh, well, Bitcoin's at 180K. My altcoin's going to do that 10X. It's going to do that 10X. Take those profits, allocate appropriately, follow your 50, 25, 25 strategy, and just get ready to witness history.
Yeah.
That is what I would say.
I mean, the strategy meeting, you know, this week, or I think it was like Friday or something like that. Michael Saylor did this kind of explanation of how they're, doing their yield product for strategy. I keep calling it MicroStrategy. But then also, we have a post from British Hodl. I was talking to TJ this morning about the main thing that starts off the kind of where is the top for Bitcoin truly, in my mind, is this post from Mark Moss. He's talking about $7 trillion.
I don't have that tab.
This is a good one. It's $7 trillion sitting in money market funds, 8 trillion sitting in cash in public companies. And so far, only 79 public companies have found the escape hatch into, utilizing Bitcoin on the balance sheets. Kraken CFO Stephanie Lemmerman predicts about 20% of roughly 55,000 total public companies will buy and hold Bitcoin within the next few years. That means that there is 11,000 companies that could become piling into Bitcoin and using it in their treasuries over the next few years. And this is a conversation on top of the nation state movement. And then, the whole idea, for me, the whole expansion of real estate, it's starting to become questionable if I should. The insurance rates have continued to go up, and in my past, how I grew up, my parents, like, the whole outlook was to stack real estate and make movements there. And I have a little bit of real estate right now, but I was thinking about expanding that portfolio. The insurance rates, the tax rates are kind of terrifying me on how they continually go up, but things that are kind of appealing of where to put that capital outside of, if it's not just Bitcoin. British Hodl put this out, putting something in perspective with the MSTY dividends. 10% of his portfolio are in this, and they're higher than the average annual net pre-tax monthly revenue of any business he's ever had.
The dividends, the payouts.
Right. For his parents, their dividend from MSTY is higher than the net income of their entire real estate portfolio that took 35 years to build. If you don't think that this idea will catch on more, you're deluded. There's a $300 trillion fixed income market for a reason.
Have you seen the Strive CEO speak at Strategy? Did you guys watch this clip yet?
I watched a short clip of it. But we may as well go back over it, because my main focus has been on,
this is going exactly off what you're saying with the
companies, let's have a listen to
which
this
are undervalued. Here's a minute clip here just for chat to understand what's about to happen. Let me make sure I max out this volume here.
Where many publicly traded companies are actually trading below the net cash that they hold. So even after you take out the liabilities of these companies, the net cash, the companies are valued at less than the net cash. And so Strive sees an opportunity here, multi-billion opportunity, to actually merge those companies into our Bitcoin treasury company and to basically acquire $1 for 90 cents on the dollar or less, and use that money to buy Bitcoin in a way that is accretive to the common equity shareholders, right? Because to me, there's not much of a better way that you can accrete value to common equity shareholders than to buy a Bitcoin for 90 cents on the dollar or less. And so that's something that we're actively engaged in right now. Our hope is that we can announce something before the close of our transaction or shortly thereafter, but I think it's a very innovative, repeatable strategy that is a multi-billion-dollar type of opportunity that we're.
And so back to your point here is just the amount the amount of accumulation that is going to come from Bitcoin, from whether it's strategies, which they're about to publicly open up their strategy for their Bitcoin accumulation as well, which is something everybody is going to be following suit with, is just billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in capital. And so to your point with MicroStrategy with the yield, like, this is just, and to British Hodl, is it doesn't make sense to be bearish on the opportunity that is putting itself in front of us at this point. And for anybody that is kind of betting against that, is just going to continue to lose. So, very interesting. That was from Strive CEO. I recommend you guys watch the full 30. I think he speaks for about 30 minutes at Strategy's conference there. But Strategy is now even like, you know what, we're going to go completely public. He just sat down with Saudi Arabia and said, hey, they should allocate, their $950 billion in sovereign wealth funds to Bitcoin if they want a 1,000 exit, which actually makes complete sense. But, the upside here is absolutely insane. Come for chat here, though, really quick. I just want to remind everybody, guys, if you haven't already hit that like button, we are waiting on Donald Trump to speak here any moment now. Might be waiting here until 12 p.m. today, but hey, we will be here. So hit that like button, repost, and take it away here, TJ.
Well, yeah, I was gonna just to that point, just wanted to add in David Bailey's been doing a lot of really good work on all this stuff. You guys know Meta Planet, but I mean, this is just to kind of just get your head in that space. Like, hey, anybody want to invest in the MicroStrategy of Saudi Arabia, the MicroStrategy of Turkey, the MicroStrategy of South Korea, South Africa, and you can just keep tacking them on. Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, like they're all coming, and they're all performing extremely well.
Right.
Bitcoin is getting sucked up at a faster rate than it ever has been before, which is why we talk about it every single day on this channel. So it's just I'm getting, you guys know I'm the perma bull. I'm getting ridiculously bullish. I've been calling for 220 a long time. Now people are calling for crazy high numbers that makes 220 look not that optimistic. But real quick, for the super chat here, thoughts on Dog Bitcoin as Bitcoin DeFi becomes the next major catalyst. It's a fair free meme, and runes have a huge runway this run. I know Kelly is a huge fan of Dog. He's in Dog Army. It's performed extremely well for his portfolio. I don't generally mess with meme coins personally. Do you have any thoughts on Dog, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the ones that doesn't bother me as a meme coin, and most memes do bother me. It's the circulating supply is completely out. It's a very widespread amount of holders. It is the biggest meme or rune coin on Bitcoin's network. And then we saw, there was a little bit of, FUD within the Bitcoin core community. They did the OP return rollback.
Mm-hmm.
So it has room to, keep existing. These runes were like an effective test on Bitcoin. Really, are they necessary? That can be discussed and can be argued on both sides of it. But really, the Dog project in and of itself, the widespread, holder count of it, that makes me a little bit more comfortable than most meme coins. And I don't like most meme coins. So,
and I think the biggest case to it, though, simply is just it's Bitcoin's first meme coin. Leonidas, if you guys don't know, like you said with the runes, is the one behind behind all of this. And so I would look at it as like, if it's in the category of a Pepe, of a Doge, of a Brett, it's going to be that leader in those meme coins. But at the same time, you guys just got to remember, meme coins are completely speculated. And Donald Trump absolutely drained the liquidity out of the meme coin sector for some time. So, but I'm incredibly bullish on the future of meme coins. It's just an industry, whether you like it or not, guys. You can go back to the history of time, and there's very few things that humans have always done. Gambling is one of those things.
Absolutely.
For millennia. For the people out there like, oh, this is a negative for the industry. Like, dude, just you're a loser. I mean, that's where we're at with this in terms of the bears that are bearish on meme coins. But I would have to say again, like, I understand why people don't like meme coins. And I think that you're smart if you're not going to be betting on that in an allocation. But to be someone that says meme coins are going to fade off and die away, it's just the same thing as saying sports betting or gambling is never going to exist. You don't have to exist with the net culture. You don't need to bet on that culture. That culture is going to continue to dominate. I still think meme coins are going to suck away from a lot of liquidity from gambling, from sports betting, etc. But again, just remember, it's a highly speculative marketplace, and it's really only going to do well in a high liquidity, low interest rate environment where people have a ton of excess capital to bet on. So it's not my utility application. It's not at all a huge part or even more than 1% of ever my positions in my crypto market. And you definitely just need to take that accountability when you guys are trading.
Yeah, that's probably, in my opinion, it's where a lot of we're going to 40K or 30K mega bear market sentiments on X were found, is people that basically just over allocated into memes rather than building a portfolio that has good, strong ground to stand on. And then the mindset that you're out there speculating on the memes that they can go to zero, and you're only putting enough capital out there that you would be willing to see it go to zero. Like, a lot of them do and will go to zero. So you have to understand that. It's like when you over allocate, that's where things can get really risky. And before Trump goes live, I want to touch on this. Coinbase did acquire Deribit, leading crypto options platform. Basically an all-in-one. Now they got spot, perps, for futures, and now options with this purchase. So Coinbase building out this mega launch pad for not only spot but perpetuals, free futures, and tapping into the futures market. And for altcoins, I think a lot of the blue chips will rise. We do see some slight concerns coming out of the XRP community over something very specific. There's Ella showing describing herself as a chain detective. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So she recently raised concerns that Ripple may slowly be sidelining the XRP token in and of itself, relegating it to a limited function.
Yep.
Talking about that RLUSD, the stable coin, may be taking over the broader utilities, such as like the liquidity, the cross-border transactions, and the cross-border transactions is where you get hundreds of thousands of hype videos out of the idea of cross-border transactions, using XRP to do so. Retail and institutional settlements, multi-fiat onboarding. She argued that the only fundamental need for XRP now is covering the fees of the transactions made on this stable coin. So when you see things change like that, it maybe, for me, the idea of seeing a $10 XRP isn't really what I'm looking out for. I'm looking more for like a $5 XRP, just out of speculation in and of itself. And there is rise, at least you're going to be outpacing, inflation likely over the next year. But when I see new products like the RLUSD come out, it makes you really have to look at this with a fine tooth and comb. And XRP is still at a pretty high valuation compared to what it's been over the last few years. So you haven't missed out, and XRP's caught up to a lot of different altcoins that have 3x or 4x from their floors. But now it's got the stable coin integration in it. You got to take that in mind. And things are changing also for Cardano with this Bitcoin OS DeFi layer, essentially for Bitcoin. Very, very interesting move.
Yep.
It's also going to add that privacy layer for Bitcoin. And
They got Midnight launching, yeah.
right. I mean, this is a $1.3 trillion opportunity using Bitcoin as the gas. Bitcoiners won't even know that they're using Cardano in these transactions. And according to Charles Hoskinson, this is probably the biggest news Cardano has ever had. It's Cardano is kind of the same price point expectations. I'm not looking for $10 Cardano this cycle, but I can absolutely see it going to $5-6.
I'm definitely curious how much bison he has in those two gigantic fridges behind him. He doesn't have one double fridge; he has two in what looks like a separate room, and that's insane. But yeah, the privacy aspect is a big part that I got to talk to a lot of the Midnight team on down in Dubai. Was something that people don't realize is we went so far left in terms of technology that you're now starting to see us go super far right. And what do I mean by that? Well, libertarians were all about transparency, all about open source technology, all about, putting everything on chain. The problem with that is we have now created the biggest disruption against your right to privacy, which is your Fourth Amendment in the world. Now, of course, that's only the United States. Some countries do not give a shit about privacy. But so a huge aspect of this now is like having a wallet. And this is something that Midnight's focusing, right? With something that's launching within the Cardano ecosystem. Is how do you have a wallet? And as a user, how do you go buy a Starbucks drink? How do you go buy, a fantasy? Their example was essentially, how do you go buy a romantic vampire storybook without letting the world know? Maybe you're, look at Drew over here. Drew is a very masculine individual.
If I was reading Twilight.
Maybe he was secretly into Twilight fantasies and did not want the world to know, right? That is not something you're going to want to buy on chain. Or if you are going to buy it on chain, you don't want that to necessarily be public. And it's a very, very important kind of thought process is, as we become more and more public on chain is we need the more and more privacy layers. And we've seen this happen through Zcash, Monero, and they were attacked early on, but they don't have scalability. And there's a lot of different issues within them. And so it was really cool to kind of see that as a core discussion now, because as AI advances, it's going to make it harder and harder to be secure with your data. And these are things that Cardano and Midnight and these privacy layers are starting to focus on. So, back to your point here, though, you really want to be paying attention to the what are these ecosystems doing? Are they staying the same? Are they trying to be more scalable? Or are they trying to focus on what is going to be the issue in the next 3 to 4 years? With Ripple, with RLUSD, what I would take away from that is, the acquisition part of this. And if you pull up the screen here, Coinbase nears $2.9 billion acquisition of Deribit. So what does that tell us? Well, this tells us that essentially Coinbase thinks that leverage trading is going to become completely free and open to our markets in the United States. They want to be one of the first derivatives and leverage trading platforms within a U.S. market. This is something every single company wants to start doing in the United States. And let me put it this way. As soon as leverage opens up within the United States, I don't think you're going to see under 100K Bitcoin really anytime soon. I mean, you're talking an entire new market that hasn't been opened up. We're talking 3, 10, 15, 20, 25x. They make so much money off liquidations. That is going to bring a ton of volume, tons of marketing, et cetera, back into these markets. RLUSD, Ripple is looking to acquire, just like Coinbase. They're looking to acquire stable coins. And we've been vocal about this on this channel. RWA.XYZ, right? Stable coins, US Treasury markets, that is the future. They're focusing on becoming the settlements layer and the transactional layer with stable coins on a global scale. What does that mean for XRP's price? That's a different conversation.
Literally, basically nothing.
Yeah, basically, unfortunately, absolutely nothing. And then again, I think it has to be settled on XRP for it to matter because it can also settle on Ethereum. So just, you really need to pay attention to those core things that are happening today and what are going to benefit your portfolio pockets in the months to come or the year to come. So I think it's privacy, tokenization, and of course the stablecoin market massively, which we're going to start seeing here slowly. I am looking here still, guys. Man, oh man, this either better be the best historical trade deal ever. Their chat is going absolutely wild. I'm going to do a little research into Twitter and see if we can figure out what's happening over here. But yeah, now 49 minutes late to what we thought was supposed to happen at 10 a.m. this morning. And yes, guys, it's good to see everybody. Shout out to everybody that is, welcoming back here, guys. It's good to see. It's good to be back in the United States again. But let me figure out some information here.
And I was seeing Veteran Crypto. He runs our DeFi crypto airdrops YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out if you're interested in getting involved with DeFi. He's bringing up something that has been kind of a chaotic theory that Base is going to be the main hub for American DeFi. And I remember when World Liberty Fi was turning a lot of their Bitcoin into CB Bitcoin. I think they did some CB ETH as well. And they've been doing some test grounds of, how to do DeFi from the Trump camp as well. And I've seen some questions about like Moonwell and other DeFi applications. Really looking at this, they've sent quite a bit of what they bought over to the institutional grade Coinbase, and the holdings, the original holdings are now out of there. But this actually, in
they're saying the White House is live now.
Oh, is it live? It's showing that it's still showing this outside.
When chats troll, it is here. Here, pull up the live image. Here's they're not wrong, TJ. The White House is live.
Technically, it is. Yeah.
Technically, it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a beautiful view of the front.
Gorgeous.
There's the White House. It's live. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
they got us.
Yeah. This whole movement where we saw Binance attacked by the DOJ, and then Coinbase rolls out Base, and essentially captures the tech of Ethereum. We're at very, very low fees. And then we see a lot of DeFi applications really crushing it. And Moonwell, one of the projects on Base, it's going to be integrated with quite a few different ones, but it's actually one of the first, if not the first project to be able to hook directly into a bank routing number and a bank account number. So that is where I see some of these developments. We had Luke Youngblood from Moonwell on the show explain this.
All right. Kelly's also saying they're live. They're live. Yeah.
Let's do it. We're going in.
Got audio.
Is audio not?
Thrilled to announce that we
There it
have
is.
a breakthrough, but it's really, in particular, the agreement with one of our.
I have to watch Benny.
closest
It's the only
and
one that
most
has it.
Cherished allies, and we're so happy that that's the way it worked out. I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer and his very talented team for their outstanding work and partnership. Today's agreement with the UK is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here. you'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries. And we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed. And they'll end up getting products that they'll be able to price. And if they like them better and we make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important. And we feel very, very comfortable with that, because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. A lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest, and right at the top. And they're the first one we're talking about. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. And we have a meeting, as you know, Scott will be going over to Switzerland on Saturday, and that'll be very, very interesting. Let's find out. But I think they want to make a deal very badly too. Both countries have agreed that the economic security is national security, and will be working together as allies to ensure that we have a strong industrial base, appropriate export controls, and protections for key technologies and industries like steel. Steel is a big factor. Both countries will become stronger with steel and things necessary for military. You know, we used to build ships and other things literally at a level that nobody's ever seen. And we haven't, we've eased up, and I would say that the UK certainly eased up, but now we're going to be uneasing both, and we work together. Once again, I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer. He's been terrific for his partnership in this matter. The special relationship and external bond, it's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries, will soon be stronger than ever before. And we really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional, and it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job, and my team as well. Two negotiating teams have worked at pace now for a number of weeks to bring in this deal today. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs, but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think even down to the hour, because you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe, and that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour. And as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic. That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defense and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that, hugely important for sectors like car manufacturing and for steel and aluminium and so many others. And yes, we can finish ironing out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side, where I think I'm right in saying we're the only two Western countries with trillion-dollar sectors when it comes to tech. And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And now we add to that this deal on trade and the economy. Wow. And I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Donald, and for the way in which your team have negotiated this. I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalized it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future. So thank you so much. Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press conference. I think you have your press in with you. But on the details, I think if you've got Howard, we can deal with that through one of my team.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the US and UK have been working for years to try and make a deal. And it never quite got there.
Yeah.
It did with this Prime Minister. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well, with this president, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
Right.
And I'm really pleased. And it feels completely historic and on a special 80-year anniversary as well. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line. Tribute to both teams, tribute to our countries, and tribute to your leadership.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much. An incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with. It just seemed like a natural deal, but it was not done. But now it was done with us. So I feel very proud to have been a part of it. Keir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Donald, and we'll speak again soon.
Very good. So long. Bye. That's very nice. Why don't I do this? Why don't I have our Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, give a little description of the deal pretty quick, and then the good side, the very nice side, we'll be speaking about it also, maybe from so you get a pretty equal. I think it's a very, it's just been a deal that was, we thought very complicated. It became very simple. It's opening up the country that we really didn't have the kind of access to that I would have thought. I was surprised. I think it's why the deal never got done before. It was, you know, they've been working on this deal for 25 years. And we got it done, and we got it done. Really, it's going to be great for both countries. So, Howard, if you could go, and then somebody else, you may have, you'll pick whoever you want who'd like to do it. I have a feeling you're going to do it, right? So you guys go ahead, and then we'll take questions right after that. But I think you'll get a pretty good understanding of how big it is. It's a very large deal, very big deal. And Howard, go ahead.
So the UK is the 6th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest that we export to, right? So it's a huge market, a top 10 market. If you remember Liberation Day, they were at 10% because we have balanced trade with the UK. right? They say they have a surplus, but of course that counts gold bullion, which is, so let's just call it balanced trade. So how do you open up a market in balanced trade? People think it's impossible. They've always thought it was impossible until President Trump came on the scene and changed the way things work. So here's what we've got. We've opened up new market access, ethanol, beef, machinery, all the agricultural products. They've agreed to open their markets, and that will add $5 billion of opportunity to American exporters. So the question is, why would they do that now? Because they've never done it before. And we still have our 10% tariff on, which will produce $6 billion of revenue for the United States. So the idea was, how do they keep their jobs, protect their economy, and do the best for their people while opening the market for us? And the way is they studied it, their team was exceptional, and they tried to figure out the markets that they're importing from other people and try to send them over to America. So why were they always favoring others and not us? And what they've done is they've found the ways to do that so that we have new access, right? But the UK workers are protected. And that was the balance. So we did a deal with them in automobiles. And you know, if you're not building here, we charge you a 25% tariff. But the president, and by the way, I want to make this clear, while Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal. And people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left. And if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister, getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business. He understands deals. And that's why we're here today. So he agreed they could send 100,000 cars into America and only pay a 10% tariff. And that protects their car industry. And remember, we do 16 million cars a year. So this is only like 0.6%. But for the UK auto people, this is tens of thousands of jobs that the president agreed that he would protect for them. So he made that deal, right? Then steel and aluminum, right? Their steel business has been destroyed like everybody else has been destroyed by people dumping steel into their markets. And British Steel had announced it was closing down. So the British government, as part of this deal, nationalized British Steel, and they're going to match the kinds of models we do. They'll put tariffs on, they'll put quotas on. They want to do it with America so they can be part of the resurgence of steel and aluminum in America. And that saves them, again, thousands and thousands of jobs. So if you go step by step, aero and commercial planes, they sell Rolls-Royce engines to Boeing. We've agreed to let Rolls-Royce engines and those kind of plane parts to come over tariff-free. And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement at the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today. But I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do. But part of this deal.
You just announced it.
Yeah.
You're not going to let him do it?
I mean, British, I don't know which company will do it.
Everything about this board,
Airbus.
exceptionally well for the United States of America. It lays out the plan.
Only three, so it's one of the
Work with us in
three.
autos. You can work with us with aero and commercial. You can work with us in pharmaceuticals if you have a supply chain that is secure and protected. And
He did say arrow. You're right.
We feel really good about the deal. You've heard the prime minister. He feels really good about the deal, right? And we started at 10% and we ended at 10%. And the market for America is better. And this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand. He gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days, certainly, because we work for Donald Trump. So Jameson, my partner in all this, maybe Jameson, you'd like to talk a little, and then we'll turn it over to the UK.
Sure, happy to do that. Everyone has great remarks. I just have to echo the president and the prime minister when we talk about VE Day. This is something we've been waiting for decades, and there's no more appropriate date to do this. And when we step back and we look back a few weeks from now or months from now or years from now, we're going to look back at this day and better appreciate the significance, I think. And I'll just say as well, in terms of negotiating, I mean, the UK negotiators, you know, we've got one right here. did an incredible job, right? This is why you win wars, right? When you act like this. And, the ambassador, he knows more about trade than a lot of us here based on his background. And I would say on this deal, Mr. President, what we've shown is that it is time to change the way we do trade. People said we couldn't do a global tariff. We did a global tariff. They said no one would want to deal with us. People want to deal. They said no one give offers. You saw that stack of offers I showed you yesterday, all those countries. Said we wouldn't get deals, and here we are with the deal with the 6th largest economy. We've agreed to have fair and reciprocal trade, and we've done it in record time.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Great job.
Thank you.
Mr. Ambassador.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much.
This is actually
indeed
insane.
It's a big deal.
Morning.
Oh.
And thank you very much indeed also for that very typical 11th hour intervention by you with your phone call to the president, demanding even more out of this deal than any of us expected. So thank you for that. The Prime Minister was delighted, obviously, to take that call later tonight. But you took it to another level. And I think the point I would make is twofold. One is that if we're going to rebalance and rebuild international trade in a way that serves all our interests, then we're better doing that together than separately and apart. And that's what we're on a mission to do. But secondly, you've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister when he came and we visited in the Oval that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You know, you've been true to your word. So thank you very much indeed for that. For us, it's not the end. It's it's the end just of the beginning. I mean, there is yet more we can do in reducing tariffs and trade barriers so as to open up our markets to each other even more than we're agreeing to do today. But it also provides us with the platform, the springboard, to do what I think will be even more valuable for both our countries in the future, and that's creating a technology partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom so that we can harness science and technology in order to create future industries and future jobs. And to do that together in the way we work so closely already in the national security and defense area, we can just take that to yet further areas of science, enterprise, and endeavor. So we're looking forward to doing that in the coming months. You've launched us extremely well today. It just, in my view, as the Prime Minister has said, just shows what two countries who trust each other, who are confident in each other and are familiar with each other can do, not just for ourselves, but for those, the rest of the world, who need to benefit from a bigger and better international trading system.
Thank you very much.
No big dump.
What a beautiful accent, too. I'd like to have that accent. Thank you.
My mother would be proud.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes. Can I ask why Britain and why now? And you describe this deal as a full and comprehensive deal, and yet we've just heard from Mr. Madelson it's the end of the beginning. Clearly, there's much more work still to do. With respect, are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal? Because you're a president who needs a result at a difficult time.
I think it's a great deal for both parties. It's for us. We're opened up. I didn't know how closed it was. Quite closed, the market, as you know, the UK, and it opens up a tremendous market for us, and it works out very well, and a lot of assets. You see the chart, and those are tremendous assets. But we've been trying, and when you say why us, meaning your country, we've been trying for years, and they've been trying for years to make a deal, including when I was in the first term. It would always be people talking, but they weren't getting it done. But for 25 years before that, they were trying always to make a deal, a very significant deal. I actually, until I looked at the numbers, I didn't realize this is a very conclusive deal, but we think we can grow it even from that. But this is a maxed out deal, not like you said it. You said it really incorrectly. This is a maxed out deal that we're going to make bigger, and we make it bigger through growth.
Gonna be huge.
Tremendous assets.
Some of these
involved.
reporters, dude.
I was surprised to see how big your country is in trade. Actually, one of the biggest in technology and so many other things. It's agriculture. I really didn't know. It's depending on your definition, it's from 4 to 5 to 6. That's pretty big in the world. So I was very impressed by that. But we're going to take it to new levels. It's a very big deal right now, but I think it is going to grow just of its own volition. It's going to grow, and over time there'll be changes made. There'll be adjustments made because we're flexible. We'll see things that we can do even better. But it's very conclusive, and we think everyone's going to be happy, and the people of your country are going to be very impressed with the result, and they'll be able to buy from more people. They'll be able to price things differently. They'll be able to get some products that aren't available to them now that we make better than anybody in the world. And it's just something that it's a great thing that it came together. It's so nice because we have many countries want to make a deal. And many countries are very unhappy that we happen to choose this one, to be honest with you. But long time, our oldest ally, or just about. Guess a couple of people claim that too, but let's put it right at the top. I think it's going to be something very special for UK and special for the United States. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. How close are you to more deals, and when do you expect the next to be announced?
Well, very close. We have numerous deals. I know Howard's going back as soon as this is finished. Your press conference, he's got numerous. And Scott, who's right over here, who's fantastic, by the way. You were great on television this morning. I watched you. Gave them a little lesson in the world and economics. But Scott's going to be going to Switzerland, meeting with China, and they very much want to make a deal. We can all play games. Who made the first call? Who didn't make the? Doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in that room. But I will tell you that China very much wants to make a deal. We'll see how that works out. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals. And in this case, it's great because we really weren't very much involved. You have the European Union, which is, I think you made the right decision years ago. I don't know if you remember, I was opening up Turnberry the day that you were voting. And they asked me, would it happen or would it not happen? I said, no, I think they're going to go their own separate way. I think it's better for them. And they did. I think it's going to end up being a very smart decision. But a big part of that decision was always that you'd be able to make a deal with the United States. And they were unable to do that. But now they made it. And it's a tremendous, it's very important. That was always a big part of your decision on Brexit. And they were never able to make that deal. It was a tough one. And this one it's amazing with time. This one just went very smoothly, went quickly and smoothly. And a lot of common sense, as I like to say. There's tremendous common sense, but it's going to make your country much bigger in terms of trade. And it's going to make our country much bigger in terms of trade too. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Tom Bateman at the BBC. Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned media.
You with who?
The BBC.
Oh, good. Very nice. They treat me beautifully.
You mentioned beef exports. The UK currently doesn't accept American beef because of its own food standards. Are you calling on the UK to accept all American beef and chicken products?
Well, I think they'll take what they want. We have plenty of it. We have every type. We have every classification you can have. As you know, Bobby Kennedy is doing a tremendous job, and he's, I think, probably heading toward your system with no chemical, no this, no that. And I think we're heading that way. It seems to be. And
finally,
we have that also. So we're a very big country. We have a lot of beef. We're a very big country, so it'll be great. Yes, yes.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yes.
Let's talk about American beef really quickly, and it can't be understated. I'm Brooke Rollins, by the way. How important this deal is and what this means to American farmers.
She's head of agriculture, right?
Specific to the beef, this is going
I don't know.
to exponentially
Thanks,
increase our beef exports. And to be very clear, American beef is the safest, the best quality, and the crown jewel of American agriculture for the world. So I think a really important part of this deal isn't just the ethanol reducing of tariffs from 19 to 0, which for our row croppers is a huge deal, but also for beef. And as we move forward, I know our incredible trade team is looking at all of the meats, all of the produce, really all of our agriculture exports. And I don't know if there's an industry that has been treated more unfairly and has suffered more than our agriculture industry. So we look forward to, I'll be in the UK on Monday, talking to my counterpart over there for next week. And I look forward to moving that out across the country. The president is
I think
incredible.
we could say that we have the best in the world, best tractors, the best everything in the world. And
everything.
they say that our agriculture is, second to none, you understand. And it'll be a great asset. People are going to be able to have options, choice, and they'll have more of it. And that usually means lower prices. How about we'll do you and then you? Go ahead.
Question for the Italian TV, Daniele Compatangelo, LA7, TV 2000, Primetime Media. So congratulations for the deal. We see a big revenues from the chart. But what's
This
the
accent.
rest of Europe? It's a victory day, but other European countries, it seems like they're losing the
We
train.
intend to make a deal with Europe. We have found that the European Union treated us extremely unfairly, very difficult, and hurt themselves in doing so. And they very much want to make a deal. We'll be dealing with them. We are dealing with them currently. So that'll cover pretty much the rest of it. But this was separate because of Brexit in particular. This was a separate deal. It always seems so natural. I mean, all the media would say that this seemed to be like, why did this happen 25 years? Why didn't it happen?
We're about to hit
a long time
100K.
ago?
I feel it.
And it was always amazing to me. Somebody would say, hey, we got to make a deal. We have to make a deal. But this deal just fell into place. The prime minister did a fantastic job.
That's
His
resistant.
representatives are total professionals and they got along well. And it just seemed to work. And I think one of the reasons it did is because we blew up the whole system. If we would have just been dealing with you separately or, country by country, we blew up the whole system. It was very fair to very unfair to the United States. And I think because of that, this worked out so nicely. And I'm honored that it was the first deal. Please.
Sir, you mentioned.
Well, why don't you go in the back? Yes.
Oh, thanks. I'm with the London Times. I would say this is a great day for James Bond because now Aston Martins will be American.
That's true.
Yeah.
By extending it to film, you've talked about a big tariff on films, and we'd like to know if there'd be relief on British.
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that separately. And as you know, we're putting tariffs on that particular film, you said, the movie makers. And we're going to be doing some tariffs to get them because a lot of them have left this country. They all live here. The money comes from here. Everything comes from here, but they make them in other countries. So we're going to do something to bring them back, maybe to a large extent. But James Bond has nothing to worry about that, I can tell you. James Bond. And Sean Connery was a friend of mine. Sean Connery.
Oh, we're pumping now.
Am I getting zoning in Aberdeen? He said, "Let the bloody."
W's in chat for 100K Bitcoin. W.
4 years in.
Oh boy.
It's coming.
In Aberdeen.
There it is.
Snap.
I just stood up one day and he said that. As soon
Wow.
as I got the approvals in about 2 minutes. So he had great. He was
We
a
hit
great
100K.
guy, Sean Connery. And
We hit 100K.
Later in the year. You're going
A
back.
lot of liquidations just happened.
I will be. Sure. We have a lot of investment over there. We have Turnberry, Aberdeen. We have, as you know, in Doonbeg in Ireland, right on the ocean. They're all on the ocean. I only have interest if they're on the ocean. And we have good investments over there. Beautiful. Yes.
Remember us Bears when they said we never hit 100K again?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
3 or
2
4
weeks
weeks ago. Yeah.
Dude.
Get wrecked, Bears.
Well, it could be. I mean, we're going to see right now. You can't get any higher. It's at 145. So we know it's coming down. I think we're going to have a very good relationship. I always got along very well with President Xi. That relationship was greatly disturbed by COVID when COVID came in. But we get along very well now. I mean, the relationship was hurt with a lot of people, a lot of countries when COVID came in. But I think we're going to have a very good relationship. I expect to have a very good relationship with China, Scott. I think it's a very friendly meeting. They look forward to
Where is Steady Bug?
doing it in an elegant way.
Yeah. I don't know.
As you
I haven't
know,
seen him in the last couple of days.
trade surplus with us, so we just can't have that.
Rest in
Alts are
peace.
screaming.
But I think it's going to be
Alts
very
are screaming right now
I would
too,
like
man.
to see China open. You know, one of the big things here is, and nobody would know this, but the UK was largely closed. It was very much closed to trade, and now it's open. And a lot of the financial reporters are very happy about that because so much. I listened to them. I hope they get countries opened up, and then you compete on a fair basis. But you can't compete when you're not allowed to go there. China would be the number one example of that. You know, it's very closed. We almost had it last time before COVID, and that didn't work out. But we made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our food products, and it was a great deal, doing very well for our farmers. And then when Biden came in, as usual, nothing happened. You know, he didn't enforce it, and it got less, and ultimately, you know, it destroyed a great deal. That was a great deal. But no, I think that we're going to have a good weekend with
Here it
China.
comes.
I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do in a sense, but
We're probably going to go to 102, 103
we're gonna
today.
have a good. I think we're going to have a very good weekend.
Will you speak to Xi after the weekend talks?
I might, yeah, sure. Depending on what Scott says, we Scott is doing certain countries and Howard's doing certain countries. I mean, I wish I had like 10 more of each. Then we could do them all at one time. But there will be a time we'll do a number of them, and then there'll be a time. I think I can say this, Scott and Howard, where we're just going to say, because we understand the countries, we understand what they want. Where we're just going to make the deal. In other words, we don't need the country involvement because we've already had it. And we'll say this particular country, which had big surpluses, let's say we had therefore deficits, that this particular country is going to pay a 25% tariff or 30% or 50%.
There it is, baby.
Oh my God, it's pumping hard. The daily candle is
We're
huge.
back.
One of the things we did here that we'll
Oh my
rarely
God.
do
Send it.
is on cars. We took it from 25 to 10 on Rolls Royce because Rolls Royce is not going to be built.
Dude, there it is, 101.
I wouldn't even ask them to do that. You know, it's a special car.
Oh
And
my
it's very
gosh.
limited number two. It's not.
Guys, hit that like button. Hit those
one of the
W's.
Monster car companies that makes millions.
It feels
of cars
so
and
good
makes
to
a
be
very
right,
small
you know?
Number of cars.
Mhm.
And that includes Bentley and Jaguar. So we have some very special cars. So in order to help that industry, and that's really, you know, handmade stuff. They've been doing it for a long time in the same location. And I said, yeah, that would be good. Let's help them out with that one. But that's different than a car company that comes out and makes millions of cars, which they'll be doing in our country. They're going to build. We have many factories, car plants being built or going to be built very soon. I think we can say that we'll be close to $10 trillion of investment.
That's so
I think
insane.
we're actually at that number now. If you add up some of the ones we haven't heard about yet, I mean, we have some going up right now. They have plants going up, and they haven't even spoken to us. They're doing it because of the tariffs, and tariffs have always been used against us. And I never understood. I used to sit back, as you know, China paid hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs when I was president, but until then, China never paid anything, and you know they really did a big number on us from the standpoint of trade. But we are using tariffs now for our benefit, and we have now close to $10 trillion. Think of that, 10 trillion. If you look at the past administration, and we're talking about over, you know, essentially 2 months, because we could say 3, but it took a little while to get the office in perfect shape, right? It took a little while to get things done. But once we started, when you think of that, close to $10 trillion of investment, you've had years where the United States wouldn't do that wouldn't do 1 trillion in a year, wouldn't do anywhere near 1 trillion. We did 10 trillion in 2 months. So it's amazing what's happening. We're getting calls and that has to do with chips, has to do with cars. We used to make chips. We had Intel, and we used to make chips. We had a monopoly on chips. Everything was made here. And now, over a period of years, because of presidents that didn't know what they were doing, they allowed that business to be stolen from us. Most of it moved to Taiwan. And you probably were in the same position, right? Because you had a lot of the chip making capacity, but they moved it in. And if we would have said, that's fine. If you want to move it to Taiwan, that's good. But if you want to sell back into the United States, we're going to put a 50% or 100% tariff on. They would have never left. But we had people sitting here that didn't understand that, and it's too bad. But now they're coming back because I'm saying it. I'm saying
Common
it about
sense,
40
baby.
years too late, but they're coming back. As you know, we have the biggest chip makers in the world spending, in one case, 300 billion, in one case, 500 billion, same as Apple, and in another case, 200 billion. And we're going to have a large share, a very, very substantial share of the chip making market.
You said that this weekend is going to be a friendly visit. Do you expect that it will just be a formality to break the ice, or are they going to get into substantive negotiations?
I believe so, yes. I believe it's substantive, yes. I think people like to say, yes, we're having a meeting to meet. Well, we're meeting, so what are we going to do? Talk about meeting again? But I think it's going to be substantive. I think we can say that, right, Scott? Very substantive. Now, China wants to do something, and look, they have to at this point. You know,
Have to.
eventually, they made $1 trillion a year, and now they have absolutely, no business because of the tariffs. They have no business, and they want to have business. And
Yes,
we want
sir.
them to have business. We want them to do well. We want them to do very well. So I think it's going to be very substantive.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned.
In China.
But we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the US, the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands
baby.
of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
That means we lose less money. When I see that, that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they can do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and give people something that they've never had. Access to something that'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses, and I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant guy. I'm really not. I think that trade can bring a greater friendship with China. It can be something good. But, one of the things that I know Scott's going to be talking about very high on the list is open up and let our businesses go into China, because when you talk about a closed country, that's a really closed country. And I think it would be great if it was opened up, give people a lot of choice, and would create a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. So I think it would be a great thing for China. And that's going to be one of the things we'll be discussing, like we discussed with UK. Yeah, please.
So what does Britain have to do for you to drop the baseline 10% tariff?
Well, I think that's set because that has to do with a lot of different things, including past. There are a lot of past things that we talk. This is very inclusive. We included everything, and that's pretty well set. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Oh, my bad. Am I logged into yours?
Is that a template?
Oh, sorry.
No,
You're good. I can pull it up elsewhere.
no, that's a low
There you go.
number. They made a good deal.
I can ETH to Bitcoin right now.
China, because they have massive trade surpluses, and in many cases they didn't treat us right. One thing with UK, they had somewhat closed, not like a China as an example, but they always treated us with great respect. They treated us with great respect. The template of 10 is probably the lowest end, and therefore they made that deal. But they we've had just a very special relationship with them. Like, I won't do that deal with cars. I mean, unless somebody shows me that there's another kind of a car that's comparable to a Rolls Royce, and there aren't too many. This is a good commercial for Rolls Royce. I'm going to order a lot of
Mr.
cars.
President, I wonder whether you'd like to buy.
Well, the last time this happened, I ended up.
I would be happy to suggest a discount, obviously a very modest discount. We have to protect our profit margins.
I've had many of them. The last time that happened, I ended up buying a Tesla.
I had a question about the UK deal today. I heard there was talk that part of the agreement would depend on whether the UK would respect free speech and freedom of religion. I know the VP is really interested in that, talked about that earlier this year. Was there any assurances that you guys got on that front?
You want to handle that?
Yeah, that was not part of the conversation. Our conversation was an economic conversation from start to finish, closed by the president yesterday. This was a business deal, open their markets and also protect their workers, grow our markets and help our
This
workers.
was about business religion. You know, business is sort of a semi-religion, but not nearly as important. I don't want to get myself.
How dare the new pope say that?
Oh my.
To help you close, the gap between Ukraine and Russia?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's a natural thing to ask.
What do you expect?
Sure. I don't know. I think we're making good progress. Fighting is a little bit different than it was. I think if we weren't involved, Russia would be, going at it to maybe get the whole thing. Without our involvement, they'd be able to get it because we supplied a lot of different things foolishly, but we've been sort of paid back by doing the rare earth deal that I talked about before. I think that I think that we will be very much involved in trying to get that bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. It's a horrible situation. 5,000. It's really more than that. But it's 5,000 soldiers on average a week, mostly soldiers, are being killed. Young, beautiful people. I mean, they're being killed. I see the satellite pictures coming back, body parts lying all over fields, heads and arms. It's so terrible. I've never seen anything like it, actually. And if we can get that stopped, that will be a great accomplishment. And we're trying very hard. And I think we're close. And Mr. Witkoff is talking constantly back and forth. He's a real professional. He's got a great relationship with both countries. And I think we have a good chance. And likewise, we're trying to work on Iran to get that solved without having to get into any bombing, as we say, big bombing. I don't want to do that. I want them to work. I want them to be very successful.
Thank you, Mr. President. Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. On the non-market barriers, how did you get the UK to bend, and what was the 11th hour deal or ask?
Well, I think it was really just a part of the overall. I mean, they have so many things that are so good for them. It's going to be so good for the country. And that was sort of easy. We had non-market, I call it non-market or non-monetary trade barriers. And we have quite a few of them, not nearly as bad as some countries. Some countries have, they have virtually no tariff, but the rest of it is so brutal, you can't do business with them, right? So it's a very important question, actually. No, I think the overall deal just worked out very well from their standpoint. They were willing to give that in order to get other things. And you might want to speak to that, Mr. Invest.
Look, the point about the deal is that we will continue reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers. This is a continuing picture. It's a movie. It's not a still picture here. It's a movie.
Yeah.
It continues. And we're both committed to freeing up trade between our countries. We're both committed to freeing up investment between our countries. And the point about this deal is that it provides a very good template, a very good launch pad for what we can continue to do and build on in the future. And that's what we're both determined to do.
Many of the, well, what can I say? Many of the, how about just one more little thing, right? Well, it got the deal closed and it was handled very well from the other side too. But many of these things that we're talking about, we've been talking about this for 25 years. It's hard to explain when, if you weren't sitting behind this beautiful Resolute desk, you just wouldn't get it. I have been hearing about making a deal with UK for 25 years. And especially around the time of Brexit, they wanted to make a deal. So they came out of Brexit and they make a deal and how natural. And it just couldn't be done. It couldn't be done. Good people. And this is a bigger deal. This is a much bigger, better, stronger deal for both of us than we ever even contemplated before. It's a big deal.
Virtually everyone said that it would end in failure, it would end in tears, and it's ended in exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
But Mr. President, can I say that that is due to Secretary Lutnick and Ambassador Greer have been absolutely fantastic. But
Right.
yesterday I received a call, a very diplomatic call that just edged things over the line, and that was from your new ambassador in the United Kingdom.
Who is terrific. Right?
Warren Stevens, he's here.
Where is Warren?
Right here.
And
Hello, Warren.
he's flying to London tomorrow night. He's going to be very popular with the British He's going to be a very successful ambassador.
And he's got plenty of cash. That guy's plenty of cash.
All right.
What the?
Loud sounds. He does not give a warning on the volume. Like, well, I guess we didn't either, but yeah.
Very
I like.
cool.
I like somebody saying like, "All right, just end it." You know, I'll take the win. I don't want him to say anything that's gonna cause any problems. But woo, feels
incredible.
good.
The markets are on fire right now.
Yeah. What do you got? Anything up?
Oh
well,
my God! This.
yeah. Look at the alts. I mean, Bitcoin is what are we at? Like 101 right there. 101 flat. Altcoins like SWI is up 15.8% right now. Uni's up deep.
I don't know why I don't have your screen. I have it, but it's not showing anything for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, this is and I was also Josh. I mean, we might want to look at the ETH to Bitcoin pair on your chart.
Hold up.
I was looking at it. It's about 7 to 8% up on the week, which is a lot to be said.
Up and up and up and up.
It is fighting back hard.
It
Right
smells
now.
like alt season, boys.
Yeah, this is the candle. You know, Kevin Svensson, as I said, Kelly's buddy, he was calling a few weeks back for this. This is a very, very interesting signal to be coming out of ETH to Bitcoin pairing. So, yeah, I was just kind of going through all the channel favorite alts, and honestly, alts that I don't even own. And I mean, it is looking very green pastures
today.
Yeah, I was super glad I bought more. Aerodrome.
The exacto bottom here, live on stream on Discover Crypto. Can't get any better alpha than that for you.
Yeah, I mean we've been screaming a lot of these top performing alts doing really well. I mean, DZ nailed it with that sweet call. Arrow's pumping extremely well. We've got Kelly nailed that Tau call. Near Ave's moving, Sonic's moving, Ethereum, Curve, Chainlink, all of our favorite coins. I do believe I tweeted a couple days ago. It actually kind of went viral, saying it was. I called it QE. I know it wasn't really QE. You know, some people call it stealth QE. You know, people wanted to split hairs. Oh, they're just rolling over things, repackaging, blah blah blah. Bottom line is the Fed bought a bunch of treasuries, about $35 billion worth of treasuries. When you see the Fed buying, that is the beginning of alt season. That is the beginning of QE. We're getting close to a pivot. We still believe rate cut will happen in June. And the fun is going to begin. We're going to have a fun summer. We're going to be at all-time highs at the Bitcoin conference. If you guys aren't coming to the Bitcoin conference, figure it out. You should. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a blast.
We're going to cook a lot of steak too. I mean,
that's right. We're
it's
cooking
kind of
out.
the point of the trip right there. So
absolutely, we're hanging. I mean, we do have like a pretty sweet spot to hang out. We got the pool, we got the grill. We're going to be hanging out, but we're also we'll be at the conference. We're going to be doing a lot of content, doing a lot of interviews. Yeah, and everybody say thanks to DZ. You know, you take every time you go on vacation is when the market always rips.
Isn't that facts?
It is a fact. The best way to get us out of a sideways market is take a break for a little while, and you'll miss all the action. So shout out to him. I hope him and Kat are doing really, really well. But yeah, feels good to see these prices. Feels good to see alts moving and closing. You know, like Bitcoin dominance will still remain strong. I'm not saying it's just going to cascade down yet because of part of what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, that Bitcoin will remain the top dog. And a lot of these, basically all the new money is going to be flowing into Bitcoin and stable coins. And then from there, it will flow into altcoins. But seeing Ethereum up 12% on the day while
absolutely,
Bitcoin's up 4%. I mean, there's a lot in here. You know, there's Cardano up 8%, SWI up 16%, Chainlink 11%, Bitcoin Cash, meh. Hedera, somebody asked earlier, is H-bar dead? You know, Hedera is still making moves. They've got some angles on the RWA level. Dot with a 9%. I mean, it's Tau with a 15%. I mean, these are top coins, 14% or 13% on Near. There's Ondo. Man, Ondo's storming up the ranks. Gonna be top 20 soon, man. That's crazy at number 34.
Some pretty big announcements as well.
They flipped Aave. Look at that. They just passed Aave. That's
they're leading the entire tokenization sector, which now which I'll talk to you about after this, but I'm trying to incorporate, we are incorporating, call it the investment hub, but all of these different tokenized treasuries to a retail application through FOMO. So it'll be available in the dashboards to literally buy US treasuries through these different companies. So Very exciting things coming. I'm very excited for tokenization. That was the entire conversation of Dubai. Everybody's doing so. We just had breaking news from Missouri, set to become the first U.S. state here, as you can see on the screen, to exempt capital gains taxes on stocks, crypto, and real estate. It is just
that's not too far away.
Getting better and better and better for crypto and tokenization in the U.S. market.
Oh, they're saying Trump's still talking, but I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I mean he's probably. I mean, I think we've gotten enough of it. I mean, they're going to be just taking questions.
Yeah, I can pull it back up if we want.
No, I mean you can't. You guys can if you want. I have to run at noon, but
yeah, I was like, he's going to be just taking the same questions over and over.
But here's what was interesting. There was a few things interesting to me in that conversation. I said it in the chat. Canada in tears right now. If you guys saw the press conference earlier that he had with the new Prime Minister of Canada, and he was kind of like, we don't want your steel. Like we don't have to buy our steel from Canada. Well, now you know why, because now we've just got a huge amount of steel, a huge deal with the UK for their steel. It was also interesting. He mentioned the tech sector, right? With all the chip manufacturing and stuff. And if we can be aligned with the tech sector of what we're doing between us and UK, that gives us a lot of leverage in a lot of these other conversations. So there's a reason they rolled this one out first. One, it was probably a reasonably easy, not easy, but a more reasonable one to get done. But two, it strengthens their position as they negotiate with all these other countries. So now Canada more or less has to acquiesce to what our demands are, and it will cascade further and further down as that continues. So India, a lot of people were hoping we were really close with India. I think that does have a lot to do with what's going on with Pakistan. That's, as we covered on the show yesterday, Pakistan's somewhat of a proxy of China. That is going to be that's going to be the kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say the crown jewel, but that'll be the one that really sets markets on fire when we get something done with India. EU will obviously be big. Taiwan, Vietnam, some of those other ones. And then China's out there on an island, literally. They're by themselves.
Right.
They have nobody. They have to come to the table, and we can kind of say, well, take it or leave it. Either you take this, or the rest of the world's gonna move on without you, and your economy is gonna completely collapse. So
yeah, we're about to hit 102K too. Like,
golly,
we are
What?
absolutely ripping right now.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's just here. We're back into this trading range here, guys. Again, this is just, it's absolutely explosive. And if you guys aren't prepared for this, make sure you guys join the Discover Crypto Discord channel next week. Make sure you guys use FOMO.io. We got some really big things coming up that I'm very excited to share with you guys. But ultimately, it is a time in these markets to, we were screaming from the rooftops, doubling, tripling, quadrupling down at 75K. The fear mongering's BS. The trade deals are going to be bullish. The Fed's going to cut. Now, the Feds, this one's interesting because Jerome Powell should have honestly cut. The ECB, every other central bank is cutting at this point, but Jerome Powell is sitting back saying, hey, we need to sit back and wait. And now the Fed watch tool, I had it up just a second ago. Let me pull this up for you guys. Because it's actually pricing in now an 80% chance we don't get a rate cut here in June.
Right.
And so this here, if we get a rate cut in June, which we've been predicting since this had been almost a year and a half at this point, that it was going to take until June this year. At this point is now it's a political ploy. Tariffs are not a inflationary measure. It's a one-time increase. So it's not like tariffs cause 25% and 25% and 25% month over month. It's going to be a one-time price increase. And so now that we know the structure, the 145% on China, we see this historical trade deal between the United States and the US or the UK. You saw Mark Carney from Canada's new prime minister folding to Donald Trump in that press conference. You're going to see trade deal after trade deal after trade deal executed here. And you're going to see inflation still become reduced, energy continue to drop, oil prices continue to come down, wages continue to outperform inflation, and the 6 to 12 month outlook is absolutely insane here. So unless there's some black swan event of a World War III, which we do not believe is going to happen, especially as you see Russia trying to create historical trade deals with the United States as they land minerals deals with Ukraine, it only is natural that they're going to solidify a stronger, better trade relation with China, especially since Russia and China, Xi Jinping just met earlier today or late last night and created another historical trade deal. So we're going to see better global, more fluent trade on a global scale. And at the same time, Russia, China, all these different countries are opening up their markets to Bitcoin. And I have inside information from sources telling me that China is going to be opening up through multiple different officials ultimately by November, with a lot of leverage within the Chinese market. So they're going to deregulate their crypto sectors. At the same time, you have Saudi Arabia with Eric Trump, who Samuel Arms, our business partner from the political strategy side, went to their international dinner. I think that was last week. I'm losing time frames right now, where they talked about opening up their real estate to crypto markets. We're expecting a lot of cross-pollination within framework between the federal scale of the United States and Saudi Arabia. These are all magnificent steps in positive direction for the crypto market. Like when there's someone out there, and I'm going to ask TJ and Drew here as well, what is bearish? What is bearish at this point in the crypto market? It is more adoption, more scalability, and more wealth creation than ever. I don't see a bear avenue here that goes, oh, well, based off my calculations and my TDS, we're going to go into some 6-year recession, worse than the Great Recession. I don't see any of it on my horizon, and I really try to look at it from that perspective. I can't see anything.
Yeah, I'm a prepper. It's like I don't.
Drew's a prepper and he can't even be bears. That's amazing. Civil War's off the table apparently. We're all getting rich, and that's what I would say. They mentioned the Discord thing. Go ahead right now. We just dropped it in the chat. If you're watching later, the link is also in the description. Go make your L Bank account. That's going to be the access to the trading portion of it. If you don't leverage trade much, that's okay. There's a short window of time when it's easier, I guess I should say, to make a lot of money, because leverage trading, as you guys know, if you've done it in the past, it can be difficult and it can take some training and some learning. But when we're in an up only mode, which I believe we're going to have throughout this summer, later into this year, Q2, Q3, I think we will be in up only mode. You're going to want to, like, that was the easiest. I just made a couple $1,000s just as it was going, opening along, riding that momentum and closing it. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. So if you guys haven't gone and created that account yet, get it set up. The main way we're going to be verifying you, we're trying to get it set up to where we can automate it. But if you have to just email in your UID, go create your L Bank account under the link that's in the description. You have to use the link in the description or the link in the chat right now. Go create your account, email us your UID to office@hitnetwork.com, and we're going to start onboarding those people into the Discord server. We need your UID and your Discord username, and we'll start sending those invites out and getting people into that Discord next week. We'll have trading signals in there, a lot of free trading content, and then, as well as I mentioned at the top of the stream, there will be a paid section for the more sophisticated investors that want to learn how to really retire their bloodlines off of this stuff, learn more sophisticated strategies. But I mean, it's exceptionally bullish. Yeah,
it's worth it. Like, we caught a 30x from 75K on like multiple accounts. So it's like
I just paid for an annual subscription in that thing in one trade. So there you go. There you go. It's
nice
easy.
work. Well, it's an exciting day. It's great to see a field of green coming back to the markets. Kind of hilarious, like, seeing Brett and all these meme coins coming back. There's some, but virtual's leading the charge on the AI agent side. The market's not done. We have already cooked in a lot of bearish ideas. The trade war, what is the Liberation Day came out and we dropped 109. It was the inauguration day. Then we have to break a couple eggs to make an omelet by making trade fair for the United States. We crashed to 75. The market reset. We were screaming about our entry points on a lot of different projects. And honestly,
in 3 months.
In 3 months, right?
In 3 months,
right?
It's
incredible how fast you can turn around too. And like the fear and greed index, like, it's still kind of in the middle zone. Like, people are still on the side. Like, is this
where are we
really
at today?
bad?
Actually,
yeah, we might as well look at it, because that might have flipped.
Yeah, we're at. Let me reload here.
We
are at 53 here.
Look at that.
53. Now, this is in real time. So the daily probably push, I'm going to guess here, is 70. But yeah, like, it's again, but how long? What you have to remember too is, actually, let me pull up the historical metric here just a second. Give me 2 seconds, because I want to look at the time frame. The last time, you're usually above 70 at a massive range. So when you're looking at that fear and greed index, and let's go to the just go to the one here, actually, because I want to go back to, look at this. So this would have been February 27th. We hit 15 on the fear and greed index.
Which is as bad as COVID.
Bad as COVID. Everybody in this room saying buy. And then March 9th, again, you hit 10 on the fear and greed index. Everybody saying buy. And actually, bad as COVID, bad as FTX, if not worse than the FTX crash. One last time, April 8th, if you were lucky, add a 20 here. But when you're above that 80 range, it's usually for a consecutive period here, and you get some decent upside. So you can go all the way up to 80. I'm going to take profits, but you want to be dollar cost averaging when it's in that bottom. And I'm going to even go to the max here and just show you guys what this looks like on a much larger time frame. So we're going back to CFG 56. Can you do me a favor and pull up the price of, I want to do this. Let's pull up the price of Bitcoin on September 6, 2024.
2024. Let's go.
I'm going to give you three different dates here.
Yeah, let's go. I'm guessing it's somewhere around 50, but let's just.
So that would be September 6, 2024. Then it would be the March 10th, 2025.
All right, so September
6,
2024. We're about, oh God, I was pretty close. About 57.
What's the price?
57. I was off by 7K. So.
Oh my God.
This is the thing. These moments.
57K.
Yeah, this is the weekly green candle, and like that momentum wave moving to the downside and printing that green. These are the exact times you're talking about. It's September of 2024, and then it was also around September of 2023. You know, I mean, while you were gone, Josh, I mean, I was really painting the picture clear. Like the move from the same signal we're going through over the last few weeks ended up with 190% gain on Bitcoin, you know, and they take time to play out. Then this move from what you just highlighted, this was it was right around a 100%.
Is that move. November 12th?
This was, well, I just measured it from the September 2024, but to where it went to.
Yeah, where's that peak?
Yeah, so the peak, and it printed the red dot right there is December, mid-December. Yeah, so you don't miss out too much on, it was 108 or 107.
So what I'm showing on this screen here is going to be, so this is the de facto bottom, that $57,000 Bitcoin that we're showing. And then this would be about mid-December. So the fear and greed index was an up direction consistently for what would be roughly 3 months. And that would be the price difference of $57,000 as you showed on your screen to 110K. So looks like that we're not only breaking out, we got a double bottom on Bitcoin's chart there, which would have been under that 75K where we're all screaming. Again, that upside could be now over the next 3 months and go back to everybody's kind of summer looking incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. A lot of people are worried about sell in May and walk in May. What I would just say is, I mean, watch the growth. It's only May 8th. So if we're somehow at 100, explosive upside action, take your profits. But it does feel like that market sentiment is not only starting to shift, but it's rotating completely into an uptrend here as we start watching this historical trade deal start to take place. So very interesting to watch. It's very good to watch too. It's interesting that if you really just look at market sentiment and you just look at, fear and greed, and we're like, when you're at max fear, when everybody else is fearful, you want to be greedy. Like 80, 90, 95% of the time, you're talking about great dollar cost average entry points. And of course, great DCA take profit points.
Absolutely. Just have to be brave about it. We have new design to the markets. We have ETFs, BlackRock. We thought we were going to out trade BlackRock with our our basic 4-year cycle standing. I just kind of felt like we were kidding ourselves. We've seen difference in it. Now nation states are talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance is a whole new game. So, just Bitcoin is the key. Gaining in alts always should lead back into Bitcoin, right? If you're talking about the crypto realm. I'm even considering wondering if I should even do the real estate moves I was thinking about previously with the insurance cost and the tax costs. It's like,
I'm getting out of real estate. I'm not getting completely out of real estate, but I'm getting out of the real estate rental portfolio and moving towards revenue generating assets like MSTY, like staking, like DeFi. So
it just makes more sense. It just makes more sense. So I'm super excited about it.
All right, well, we got TJ's tweeting. This year is the year you could retire your family, lock in just green upside.
That's where we're going right now, dude. I was live on. I was going crazy on X while all that stuff was happening. I'm over here doing 3 jobs at the same time. And on that note, guys, we have a lot we have to get to here today. Josh literally rolled in straight into the live stream. He hasn't missed a beat. Straight off the plane, straight here. So he's barely hanging on. Give him W's in chat for Josh and
shout out to you guys for holding down the fort.
Hey, that's what we do, man. We're live here every single day. If you guys want to learn how to make money in Bitcoin, how to make money in DeFi, That's why we do what we do. We love it. And we want to see all of you guys retire. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, leave us a comment with your favorite altcoin. I actually think we're going to go do a phone record right now to get some of this news out there. And we'll see you guys at the top. Talk to you soon. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.